Haval H6 vs. Honda HR-V. Haval H6. There are good surprises and bad surprises. Like the time I was driving my Uda and the steering wheel came off. Bad surprise. Or the time the chicken shop accidentally gave me a large chips when I paid for a medium. Good surprise. The Haval H6 also surprised me. And it was up there with a large chips type of surprise. See, my expectations of Haval have been of a brand which is really big in China where it's owned by Great Wall Motors, but can't keep up with the likes of Toyota and Mazda when it comes to driving and styling. Instead, their strengths seem to be just value for money. Surprise! The new generation H6 isn't just good value for money anymore. It's still really well priced, but it has stunning looks, too. But that wasn't the biggest surprise. If you are considering a mid-sized SUV such as a Toyota RAV4 or Mazda CX-5, I strongly suggest you widen the net and consider the H6, too. Let me explain. Honda HR-V. Honda Australia has gone through a bit of a transformation in recent years, shedding its top 10 sales ambitions for a new approach that focuses on slimming down the range with high-spec grades. The first new-gen model to launch with that approach was last year's Civic, but it's the latest launch, the HR-V, which might make or break Honda's new strategy. And that's because the HR-V is a small SUV, playing a space dominated by Toyota, Mazda and Kia, that also offers up a so hot right now hybrid powertrain for the first time in Australia. Verdict: Haval H6. The H6 could be the turning point for Haval in Australia. The brand's first big success that changes the way Aussies view this Chinese carmaker. The H6's great value and stunning looks will win over many but add an excellent warranty, advanced safety tech, plus the surprisingly good, and you have a package that appears right up there with the likes of the Toyota RAV4 and Mazda CX-5. The sweet spot of the range would have to be the Lux, the car I tested with its leatherette seats, privacy glass, and dual-zone climate control. Honda HR-V. You could look at the 2022 HR-V and think that Honda has taken a step back. After all, there's less space in the boot, there's one less seat, and the prices have, at first glance, gone up. In reality though, the HR-V, especially in this HEVL form, offers up a genuine rival to Toyotas, Mazdas and Kias that dominate the small SUV space. The 2022 HR-V is a properly handsome car, the hybrid powertrain is miserly on fuel, and the handling characteristics are honestly pretty fantastic. Design. Haval H6. This new generation H6 is ridiculously good looking. So much so that my dad thought it was a Porsche when I arrived to pick him up. But in saying that, Dad also has a glass coffee table supported by a golden naked lady and thinks I work in a car dealership, despite me explaining that motoring journalism is an actual job. He's not wrong, for once. Well, it doesn't look like a Porsche, but I can see what he means given the way the LED strip across the tailgate lights up and connects with the taillights either side. I don't know what kind of deal with the devil the H6's designer made, but there isn't an angle from which this SUV looks nothing short of beautiful. There's the flashy but not over-the-top grille, the sleek headlights, and the smooth lines in profile which wrap around to the curvaceous back end. Havals in the past have seemed low quality and unfinished, but this new H6 seems the opposite. The same goes for the minimalist cabin. Those screens house almost every function except for the climate control, and that clears the dashboard of buttons. This cabin is a premium design with a floating center console and metallic trim. Stepping up to the luxe from the premium adds leatherette upholstery, a leather steering wheel, and then the Ultra takes the high-end feeling further with a 12.3-inch media display and a panoramic sunroof. As for the dimensions, the H6 is larger than most mid-sized SUVs but smaller than a large SUV at 4,653 mm end-to-end, 1886 mm wide, and 1,724 mm tall. The 6 exterior colors are Hamilton White, Ayers Gray, Burgundy Red, Energy Green, Sapphire Blue and Golden Black. Honda HR-V. If you close your eyes for a second and think of the best-looking Hondas of all time, I bet the likes of the first-generation NSX, S2002 door Integra come to mind. And while this new HR-V design doesn't quite match the heights of Honda in the 90s, it's certainly a significant step in the right direction compared to the car it replaces. Gone is the slightly derivative styling and pudgy proportions, replaced with a much more taut, muscular, and confident body. The new grille design is of particular note, as it melds the intakes with the bumper and, when combined with the sleek headlights, makes the HR-V look like it could be from the future. From the side, the new HR-V retains the hidden door handles of its predecessor, which pays homage to the three-door SUV shape available in the first-generation car. The long bonnet, short overhangs, and sloping window line also give this Honda a particularly athletic appearance, while the 18-inch wheels are also just about big enough to fill the arches, and feature an interesting enough design. The rear end is dominated by the latest automotive design trend of connected taillights, but the relatively flat boot lid and clean aesthetic give the HR-V a really modern look. The boot lid spoiler is also a nice touch, while this car's contrasting kick plate adds to the illusion of its off-road credentials. Inside, the HR-V also adopts a cleaner aesthetic, much like its Civic sibling, centered on a large 9.0-inch central touchscreen multimedia system, which thankfully features a physical volume control knob. There are some cool design touches here too, like air vent switches with settings for open, close and diffusion, and touch-operated roof lights. The best part of the interior, however, is fit, finish, and feel. All the touch points are soft and there's just a solid weight to everything. It's probably no coincidence that all new Australian HR Versys are now sourced from Japan. To us, the new HR-V is a stunner. The styling is more mature and confident than before, and between this and the new Gen Civic, Honda's design department seems to have rediscovered its mojo. Practicality. Haval H6. The H6 is cavernous for a mid-sized SUV with large and wide seats up front and excellent leg and headroom in the second row. The H6 doesn't come with a third row, which is a shame because there's room for one. A 600-liter cargo capacity is big for the class, and cabin storage is good with 2 cup holders in the second row, another 2 up front, a large space under the floating center console, although the door pockets could be better. Second rowers will be pleased with directional air vents back there, plus 2 USB ports. There are another 2 USB ports either side of the floating center console, too. The leatherette upholstery in the Luxe I tested was easy to keep clean and would suit families better than the cloth material used in the Premium. You're going to notice the high load lip on the boot, and for people as tall as me, 191 cm/6'3" inch, the open tailgate in your head may meet occasionally. Still, the H6 is super practical. Honda HR-V 6/10. From the outside, aside from the styling, the 2022 Honda HR-V doesn't seem like it's changed all that much. It's still a practical 5-door small SUV, right? And from the front seat, the new HR-V paints a very familiar picture. There's plenty of room for the driver and front passenger, the seats have plenty of adjustability, and there's storage for your water bottle, wallet, and phone. There's even an underarm storage cubby that's deep enough for you to lose some spare change or throw a charging cable or 2 into. However, from the second row, the story really starts to change, especially compared with the outgoing model. Whereas the old HR-V was classed as a 5-seater, the 2022 version has seating for only 4. This is due to the middle seat following Australia's unique design rules for what can be classified as a seat, and does not have a seat belt. How much would you actually use the middle seat if there was a seat belt there? That's for you to decide, but it's certainly a deal breaker for some families. Regardless, the 2 outboard seats offer heaps of leg and shoulder room, and our head can just about squeeze in comfortably without hitting the roof. It's certainly comfortable enough, and there's a bottle holder in the door and air vents here to keep you comfortable, while the lack of center seat means second-row passengers can have a full-time armrest with extra cup holders. There's also USB ports and back seat map pockets with a handy phone sling, so you don't have to go reaching all the way down to get your mobile. One saving grace for the rear seats, however, is the inclusion of Honda's versatile Magic Seats, which allows you to fold the base of the rear seats up to accommodate taller objects like houseplants. The rear seats can also fold flat, creating a 1274-liter boot space.